Welcome to another episode of China Update, where I provide you guys with the most up-to-date political, economic and geostrategic analysis on the world's number 2 economy. My name is Tony. Let's jump in.
Okay, happy Thursday everybody. After years of crackdown, it looks like a Beijing, nervous about the economy, has turned to the technology/platform sector, traditionally a big employer of young people, to provide some much-needed dynamism to the economy. Quote, "The crackdown is over, there is a regulatory new normal, but now that the economy is struggling and employment pressures are increasing, the government has realized it needs to be much nicer to the platform companies and other tech firms, and so has embarked on a bit of a charm offensive. The go-go days of crazy growth and fat margins for these firms are not coming back given the changed regulatory environment, but at least for the foreseeable future, the political risk for them has receded." End quote. Yesterday, Premier Li Qiang had several meetings with several other companies in the industry: shopping platform Meituan, social media and e-commerce platform Xiaohongshu, online retailer Pinduoduo, and Douyin, the international version of which we know as TikTok. Premier Li expressed that the platform economy has provided space for expanding demand, an engine for innovation and development, new channels for employment and entrepreneurship, and new support for public services. State-run CGTN, in a news broadcast yesterday evening, said, quote, "Li expressed his hope that platform enterprises can continue to advance innovation to better empower the development of the real economy." End quote. Also yesterday, the powerful National Development and Reform Commission published a report on the platform economy, recognizing it as critical to economic health and vowing to, quote, "further support platform operators to play a more active role in driving the economic recovery, creating more jobs, and growing stronger in international competition." End quote. Perhaps it would have been better if Beijing had come to this conclusion before the crackdown on the sector. Of course, Beijing is likely hoping that these companies will help with China's concerning youth unemployment situation. As the UK-based Financial Times writes this week, quote, "Beijing's crackdown of the past few years on the technology, finance and gaming sectors has choked off opportunities in what were once appealing sources of employment for young people." End quote. According to Beijing-based think tank, the China Institute for Employment Research, the country has seen an oversupply of labor for 6 quarters in a row, going back to late 2021, the height of the technology and education sector crackdowns. The country is set to continue producing record numbers of university graduates too. We remember, in a recent Renmin University published report authored by prominent economists, including one senior advisor to the government, it was warned that the youth unemployment crisis could last until the end of the decade at the earliest and presents social and even political risks. The technology sector getting some love this week has, in the short term at least, made markets happy, with a gauge of mainland technology stocks listed in Hong Kong advancing for a 3rd day after the news of the meeting. Yesterday, video streaming platform operator Bilibili Inc. jumped 9.2%, and TikTok competitor Kuaishou Technology saw a 5.8% increase. We remember earlier in the week, several players in the sector, including Jack Ma's Ant Group, received large fines, suggesting too that the crackdown on the sector generally, and on these major players specifically, was winding down. But investors, who have been burned in the past, remain cautious. Quote, "A short-term relief rally in Chinese tech stocks is reasonable, but sustainability matters. It's tough to make a guess on how long it will last." End quote. As I said, investors have been burnt badly. Hang Seng Technology Index companies have lost a combined $2 trillion in market capitalization since the gauge topped out in February 2021. The index outperformed the broader market between October and January amid reopening optimism with the end of zero COVID, but since then, sluggish economy, which regular viewers have been following this year, has derailed its recovery. Next up, the military and intelligence. Hey everyone, if you enjoyed today's episode of China Update, don't forget to hit that like button. Liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing are all huge helps for the channel. Sharing especially is a huge help. It's one of the best ways for the channel to grow. If you know someone who may be interested in this sort of content, sharing is a massive help. And for anyone who can go the extra mile, as always, Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee links are in the description below. Thank you so much, everybody, for the ongoing support. Minister of the Ministry of State Security, the principal civilian intelligence, security and secret police agency of the People's Republic of China, Chen Yixin, in the latest issue of the Democracy and Legal System magazine, run by the China Law Society, has published a long article, which came out on Tuesday, unpacking the new so-called counter-espionage law, which has made some waves recently, especially in the foreign business community operating in China. Chen stressed that China needed to harness the power of big data, blockchain technology, and artificial intelligence to advance counter-espionage work. Let's touch on a few of the points raised in the authoritative article. Quote, China's development now stands at a new historical starting point. The external environment and security situation have changed significantly. All kinds of predictable and unpredictable risks and challenges, dangerous obstacles, and even high winds and huge waves demand a higher standard for national security work. Counter-espionage work is essentially a struggle against infiltration and subversion, which is related to the consolidation of political power and the safety of the state. Insisting on putting political security in first place is the lifeline of national security work in the new era. The core of political security is the security of political power and the system, and the most fundamental is to safeguard the leadership and ruling position of the Communist Party of China and the socialist system with Chinese characteristics. We need to further consolidate the foundation of masses work, insist on taking the people as the fundamental force of national security, explore new methods of combining specialized work with the masses, fully tap the enthusiasm, initiative, and creativity of the masses, build a people's line of defense for national security, and fight the people's war against espionage. End quote. And finally, for today's video, we look at the People's Liberation Army. A new report published by the James Martin Center for Non-Proliferation Studies, titled People's Liberation Army Rocket Air Force Order of Battle 2023, argues that the People's Republic of China is currently in the process of radically expanding its arsenal of conventional and nuclear land-based missile launchers. Over the past decade, the report argues, China has doubled the number of combat missile brigades in the People's Liberation Army Rocket Force and has unveiled a myriad of new capabilities, including missiles capable of firing both conventional and nuclear warheads, and missiles equipped with hypersonic glide vehicles designed to evade missile defenses. The technologies and deployment patterns of these weapons are important indicators to the direction of China's force posture. They not only indicate China's military capabilities, but also its fears and its conceptions about how future wars in the region will be conducted, says the report. Deployment of particular systems with certain capabilities to certain regions can inform us, it continues, of what, how, and when China might strike certain targets, which in turn can help us understand what China prioritizes as a threat. I can already hear the angry comments being typed out by those exercised by the fact that I say nuclear instead of nuclear. The report, authored by Decca Etherliff, a graduate research assistant at the US-based center, concludes that, quote, the current expansion of China's missile forces suggests a possible departure from China's previously restrained second strike nuclear posture to a posture capable of deterring at multiple levels of conflict and an increased shift towards nuclear warfighting. As the Sino-American relationship becomes increasingly volatile over the status of Taiwan, gaining accurate data on China's conventional and nuclear missile forces becomes more important than ever. End quote. And on that point, one last thing. Yesterday, Wednesday, a sortie of 32 People's Liberation Army Air Force planes crossed the median line in the Taiwan Strait into Taiwan's Air Defense Identification Zone, the most warplanes to do so since large-scale military exercises back in April. The move is likely in response to Taipei hosting delegations of US and Canadian lawmakers last week. This week, Taiwan's Defense Ministry said in a statement that the island will hold annual live-fire drills later this month to, quote, strengthen countermeasures against China military threats and incorporate lessons from the war in Ukraine, end quote. Okay, that is today's episode of China Update. Thank you so much everybody for watching. Have a wonderful Thursday, and I will see you all tomorrow.